Hi you guys, my name's Christine. I chose to do my project on the Shinto religion. The reason I chose this was that because it is the end of the semester, we are ending our labs this week, and I took an anatomy lab and class this semester, and in my anatomy lab we did use 3 cadavers. And my lab TA just sent out an announcement that said that if we wanted to send off some messages with our cadavers, we could do that, and they would send them to get cremated with cadavers. And this is something that is done in the Shinto religion. It's believed that all of the good energy that you send off with them will be with them when they are cremated. And I just found this interesting, so I wanted to learn more about it. So we're going to start off with the history. Shinto is Japan's oldest religion, and it's still present today. Their rituals are very precise, and I did say leave little room for personalization, and that's just because they like to keep their rituals the same way that they've done it for many, many decades. And so there's not much else that you can add to it in order to personalize it. So the Shinto religion does have a lot of temples, but they're not visited like Christian churches are. So in a Christian church, you worship just one deity, and that's just God, and the Trinity. And for the Shinto religion, you worship many deities, but you also worship your ancestors as well. And the reason behind this is that the ancestors are very valued and respected in Japan. And so they just like to dedicate their time and worship their ancestors for the lives they live now. The Shinto religion also focuses on just living a good life and a healthy life. There's not really as many steps as there are in like the Christian religion with the commandments and everything. But it does take a lot of time to upkeep the grave sites as well as the home shrines, especially with the burial process, because they do have a ton of rituals. And speaking of them, there are actually over 20 procedures that one has to do for just the burial. And so some of them that I found interesting are Kicha Fudu, which is a period of intense mourning, and this period lasts for an entire day. And during this time, the mourners wear solid black and they may carry a rosary. You do need a priest for this ritual, as the priest will be performing a morning and evening ritual. But since it is done throughout the day, you do other rituals in between as well. So one of them is Koden, and that's when your family members and friends give you, the one who's lost a loved one, monetary gifts to make up for any of the financial burden that has been associated with the burial services. And like I said, there are a bunch of rituals associated with burial, so it does get a lot costly. So that monetary gift does help a lot. Another ritual that I found really interesting was called Kotsuach, and it is a gathering of the person's ashes. So sometimes when they do cremate them, all of the bones do not completely burn. And so during this ritual, the family members remove the bones with chopsticks and place them in an urn with the rest of the ashes. The urn is then placed at the shrine for the services of the priest. It is then removed and buried at the gravesite, or it is passed down through close family members and put in their home shrines. If family members do not get the ashes, then they're put back into the gravesite. Another ritual is called Bonkotsu, and that's just when the ashes are passed down through to the family members. Matsuri, the last example that I have on here, is the tradition that they celebrate. They have ceremonies on the 1st, 3rd, 7th, 13th, and 33rd anniversary of their loved one's death. So I thought this was interesting because it's not something that American culture concentrates on. The Shinto religion has this so that they remember their loved ones forever and they worship them forever. So this is what the grave sites and the home shrines look like. The grave site is pictured on the left, and you can see that it has a little pot of water. It has some places to put incense. It has flowers, and on the right is the home shrine. And what you do there is they also have flowers, they also have a place for incense, and they do normally put a picture of their loved one or ancestor in the shrines as well, just to show that they are worshipped and celebrated. And this is just a picture of Kotsuwatch, and that is that ceremony in which the family members pick out the bones with chopsticks. I just found this interesting because normally they just cremate your loved one in America and then you hold a ceremony. I found this incredibly interesting because I grew up in a very Catholic family, and I unfortunately have experienced many funerals for my own family members. And a lot of the times what tends to happen is that the loved one is cremated, their ashes are kept at the altar during the funeral, and then their family members and friends say prayers for and memories about the recently deceased. And then the ceremony is finished, and afterwards we all gather, eat, and talk, and then just celebrate who is alive today still. So I thought that was interesting. I also found that it correlated with what Burke talked about in the text about the grieving process. So Burke said that in order to recover and return to a fulfilling life, one must accept the reality of loss, work through the pain of grief, adjust to a world without the loved one, and develop an inner bond with the deceased and move on in life. And I found this interesting because the Shinto religion does do this. Every single step of it, just in their own different way. So thank you for listening.